ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله السميع العليم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله السميع العليم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله السميع العليم. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تبارك فينا وتبارك لشيخنا فينا وفينا بشيخنا، وانفعنا اللهم بالعلم في الدارين آمين. ما زلنا مع الكتاب أسهل المسالك في مذهب سيدنا إمام مالك إمام دار الهجرة على ساكنها أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. وقفنا عند قول الناظم نفعنا الله به وبعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين: أو ترك قبلي إن طال الزمن وكان عن نقص 3 من سنن، أو زاد بالعمد لركن فعلي، أو أن فضيلة سجود قبلي، أو ركنا أو شرطا بعمد قد ترك، أو ذكر فائت بوقت مشترك، أو ركعتين زيدتا في صبحها، أو 4 فيها فيما سواها انسها. Inshallah, if we are able to finish this today, I would jump to the next bab, which is babu قضاء الفوائت وأوقات المنع والكراهة بإذن الله تعالى. So we were talking about the chapter that talks about the mubtilatus salah, those things that will render your salah invalid. Aslan, your salah just becomes invalid if you engage in them. No argument. We said the last point that we treated was if the أو سجد القبلية من لم يركع أو قدم البعدية مطلقا فاعي. And we said وعي is to pay attention to something, especially because most people make mistake in that with regards to that mas'ala. If you go back into the notes, so this will be number 11, right? This will be number 11. Number 11 says أو ترك القبلية إن طال الزمن. If one taraka means to neglect, here it will not be translated as neglect, because if you deliberately neglect qabli, that's a bigger problem. But here it is if you forget. If he forgets to make qabli, we'll get to Babu Sahwi inshallah. Babu Sahwi is the chapter of forgetfulness. And remind me to make mention of a poem, Ya Sa'ilan an Rasulillahi kayfa saha. Oh, you who is asking, how will Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, how will he forget in salah? And sahwu is from an qalbin lahi, or min qalbin lahi. It's from a mind that is occupied with different things, that is playing on salah. How will you say Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam forgot in salah? We get there, that's a bit of off. So al-qabli is the 2 prostration that we say when we miss something in salah, and he kind of pointed to it. He says أو ترك القبلية, the person who forgets to make qabli. أو ترك القبلية, the person who forgets to make sajdatul qabli. إن طال الزمن, after a long time. أو ترك القبلية, the person who forgot qabli. The Sheikh said القبلي المترتب عن ثلاث سنن, which is said on the other. It says وكان عن نقص. قبلي is accrued from reducing something in salah. But نقص ثلاث من سنن مضاف ومضاف إليه. نقص ثلاث, reducing 3 من sunan, from the sunnah of salah. Inshallah, in the Bible Sahw we'll go deeper, which is a whole book. Al-Abqari is a book that we studied with Mashayikh, inshallah, which is Nazmu Sahw al-Akhdari. The chapter of Sahw in Akhdari was versified, made into poetry by the big sheikh, and gave it Al-Abqari. Abqari means smart person, someone who is a genius. This is like the tool for the genius to codify the bab of Sahw in Al-Akhdari. Ay na'am. Qabli is accrued from 3 sunnah. It says, in tawala zaman, ay zamanu tarki. If he left that qabli undone for a long time, بأن لم يأتي به بعد السلام بقرب. What does this mean? What is the dabt? Well, the meaning of he left it is he didn't bring the qabli after, at a time that is close to the time of salam. Let me ask a question. Sajdatul qabli, is it made before salam or after salam?
Qabli is made after salam.
Sajdatul qabli?
No, Qabli is before salam.
Before salam.
And Ba'di is after salam.
Now look at what he said now. He said, أو ترك القبلية إن طال الزمن. For a long time. What do we mean by that long time? It says, بأن لم يأتي به بعد السلام بقرب. This is where you need to pay attention. You forgot the qabli. You now said salam. And you didn't remember immediately. Oh, I missed the qabli. If you miss the qabli and you remember after salam, just make the qabli and you're good to go. Right? But if you left it even after salam for a long time, and that's why I was making that record so that you remember, don't forget that sajdatul qabli is before salam. But in case someone forgets to make the qabli and does not even remember very close to the time of after saying salam, then it gives the other condition, we'll complete it. He says, how do we now know, how do we determine what's the measure of not too long? The example he gave is the period, for example, that it takes for you to start talking with someone. What does that mean? This is for people. We are not talking about people who immediately after Salat, they jump up. After Assalamu alaikum, you do your basic adhkar, maybe 3 minutes, maybe something like that. You are still seated there. But the time it takes you to stand up, start talking with people, then it's gone. Awla bisin najasa, or the time it will take you maybe to break your wudu, or in case anistadbaro qibla, the time it will take you to, you stand up and you back the qibla. For example, that is what Qala ibn Harun, one of the ulama, says. Anyway, some of them have said that period is relative, depending on the urf, and I don't want to go too deep into that. If the qabli, وكان, the qabli that we are saying here, أن كان عن نقص ثلاث من سنن, must have been from the fact that he neglected 3 sunnahs in salah. And this is why it's important. For someone who does not even know what are the sunnah of you see how it will be difficult for the person, for such a person to what? To know what to do. He doesn't even know what are the sunnah of salah. And this is why you have to memorize the sunnah of salah, the wajib of salah, the fard of salah, I mean. For example, كثلاث تكبيرات. Someone who forgot 3 takbirat. Or this, when we explain this, most time people say what? If you forget to recite the surah after you recited the Fatiha, you do qabli. Who can tell me why? Give it a try. Naam ya Sada. If you forget,
because it is sunnah to recite Fatiha and another surah in the first surah.
so if you miss a sunnah in salah, you have to do qabli? Is that what you're saying? That's the point I'm trying to check with you. If you miss one sunnah in salah, then you have to make qabli. Tell me more. 3. Now, so, and now we said that if you miss the surah in salah, you have to make qabli. So what's the issue there?
I don't know.
MashaAllah. Sheikh Mukhtar, you want to contribute? Let's go because of our time.
No, sir.
No, tamam. When you miss surah, you have missed 3 sunnah. And this is why I said you should know the sunnah of salah. As-surah to qira'ati surah, reading the surah is one sunnah. Understood? Wal qiyamu laha, standing while reciting the surah is another sunnah. Reciting aloud, for example, that surah is sunnah, or reciting silently. So you have missed 3. You didn't recite silently. You didn't recite the surah at all. You didn't stand to recite it. Do you know that some people, they think they recite surah in salah and they don't recite? Reciting as-sirru, reciting silently, is not reciting in your mind. When we did that sunnah, who can remember how we described as-sir fi salah? Who can remind me? Try to think about it. Let's go. No time. Who can remind me? How will you recite that will make us agree that you have satisfied the obligation of recitation? How? Tell me.
You recite in a way that the people around you will not hear what you are saying.
You can try better. That is, you're saying they will not hear what you are saying. What do you mean by the people around you? Let's go very Fiqh now.
You recite in a way that you are reading and the voice is not getting, like, it is not going past your personal space.
Yeah, good. But what's the minimum? Okay, maybe I should ask this way. What's the minimum with which we know that you are reciting silently? What's the minimum? The minimum is that you need to...
Maybe using the mouth to enunciate.
Yeah. You have to move your lips. Don't say Allahu Akbar. If you are doing this, you are not reciting sirran. You are not reciting at all. That is not regarded as recitation. At least that is the least. The highest is that someone standing beside you will at least hear. That's the highest. Hear what you are saying. That is not Allah. And that was why the Sahaba radiallahu... How do we know this? That is from the Sunnah. That is why the Sahaba radiallahu anhu could describe this, the recitation that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made in afternoon salah. How did they know? It meant that if they stood by his side, they could hear the musings of what he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why I said, reciting sirran, if you refuse, so when you don't recite the surah, you have missed 3 sunnah. That's why we left off. You left the sunnah of not reciting the surah aslan. You missed the sunnah of either not reciting sirran or jaharan, silently or loudly. And you miss the sunnah of al-qiyamu laha, standing while reciting. So, neglecting the surah alone, you are liable to make qabli. Understand the reason now?
Yes.
So, when we say ذلك عن ثلاث وكان عن نقص ثلاث من سنن, that is from reducing 3 sunnahs. What if someone misses 4 sunnah? وحكم ما زاد على 3 كحكم الثلاث. Anything that is more than 3 sunnah will also take the rule of 3. Understood? I missed 4 sunnah. I missed 5 sunnah. It will take the same rule. والطول المفيد للسجود القبلي إما بالانفصال من المسجد ولو لم يحصل طول وإما بطول الزمن ولو لم ينفصل من المسجد أو صلى في غير المسجد وطول معتمر بالعرف على الراجح. That's what I said before. What's the maximum for which, if I've left it for this period of time, then my qabli, my salah is gone. I have to make up the salah again. Qabli would not make up for the salah again. If perchance the person prayed in the masjid, if he left the masjid, if he immediately said salamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he stood up and he went out of the masjid, even if the time was not long, he cannot make that qabli again. Understood? If he was in the masjid, he didn't leave the masjid, but it took a long time, seated there in the masjid for a long time, that qabli will not make it again. He will have to make the salah again. For someone who did not even observe the salah in the masjid at all, al-urfu mu'tabar. He will just look at it like, make a measure for it, something like that. هذا قول الراجح. We have mentioned what Ibn Harun said, lakin this is the most reliable. What I just last said now, what I said last is the mu'tamad. It says طول عندهم بحد العرف. الطول عندهم, the length of time for which that qabli will not suffice again, بحد العرف, is by urf, by custom. وما يراه الناس طولا يكفي, and whatever people regard in that area, in that community, in that city, or in that country as long enough, will take precedence. أو زاد بالعمد لركن فعلي. زاد. The first one is أو ترك القبل. The second one, which is I was supposed to be writing عفوا. I got carried away. اللهم صل على رسول الله. So we're doing number what? This is, so the one we treated now is what is number 11, I guess. Number 11. That is what? ترك القبل إن طال الزمن. Leaving or omitting the qali for a long time, for a long period. As simple as it is written on the screen now, anybody who did not take with us the last 5 to 10 minutes explaining will make a mistake. And that's why these notes are just for your, just reminders for you. You have to still make your own comprehensive note. It says, أو زاد بالعمد, number 12. If such a person he added something intentionally, zada, he increased, بالعمد, intentionally. What did he increase in salah? What did he add in salah? ركن فعلي. زاد بالعمد ركنا فعليا. This is in my own words. زاد بالعمد ركنا فعليا. What is a rukn? Literally, a rukn is a pillar. What do we mean by a pillar? Like something that is distinct in salah. Kasajidatin. Like adding an extra sujud. أو ركعة أو ركوع. Sorry?
Forgetting a surah also. Maybe you read Surah Al-Fatiha and then you forget to read the surah.
I'm missing the point. The point we are saying is if he zada, my man is zada, increase.
Oh, okay. Increase, yes.
He added extra sujud in bil'amdi, intentionally. Or he added extra ruku intentionally. I want to ask, what about if he added an extra fatiha?
I think it's the same route. It does the same fatiha. If you don't recite it at all, then that's the problem.
Listen to this part. What did he say here? فعليا. A ruknu, that is action, an action, not la qawliyan, not a saying. You get it? So it has to be an action that is performed. Yeah. So if you add an extra fatiha, you have increased salah, but لا يترتب عليه أو لا يترتب عليه بطلان الصلاة. Understood? Amdan. Let's now go here. Amdan, when we say amdan, intentionally, does it mean that if the person does not know, I don't know that I cannot add extra sujud. Does it mean that the person is okay? La. وتبطل الصلاة إن زاد ركنا فعليا جهلا. ما معنى جهل؟
No, when it is unintentional.
جهل؟ No. الجهل بمعنى ignorance. I don't know. That you're not knowing has destroyed your salah. Allahumma salli ala Rasulillah. You see, this is why we shout and we say all the time, you have to learn the rules of your salah. No option. What do they say in conventional law? They say what? Ignorance is not what? It's not an excuse in the court of law, right? My dear brothers, my dear sisters, we make salah how many times in a day?
5.
Is it worthy that you learn the rules of your salah? Is it worth it? Billah
Very
alayk.
important.
It's very important. So don't tell me you don't know. And this is why you have to study a text. Study with someone. Learn the rules of your salah. Don't guess. I don't want to stress on that. So, bil amdi, meaning intentionally, does not leave out the fact that if you do it out of ignorance, will also render your salah invalid. If you say 1 intentionally, number 2, if you do it out of ignorance, it's different if you forgot. And that's why you see that al-jahlu is different from al-nisyan. Oh, I forgot. You knew the rules, but you forgot. Is different. لكن تبطل الصلاة أو تبطل الصلاة إن زاد المصلي ركنا فعليا جهلا. Another point that I need to add is this does not, and I think someone asked me this question in Ramadan. I don't want to go deep into how we define things, but I want to ask it as a question, just for you to learn. Look at it maybe like a rhetorical question. You are not obliged to answer me. Someone is asking, what if it is in a nafila salah? Some people think if you make mistake in a nafila, you can just go on. No. In a nafila, if you intentionally add a sujud, you have nullified that nafila. So it does not matter if it's a nafila or a fard salah. Same rule applies. Okay? Understood.
But how about the fact that you can carry Quran in Nafila but not in Fard? Or it's different?
It's not, it's different. Carrying a Quran is suboptimal, right? It's suboptimal. It's not like encouraged if there's a need for it in Nafila. But in Salatul Fard, it is makruh. We get it. Now, أو عن فضيلة سجود قبلي لا إله إلا الله أو عن فضيلة. Please pay attention to this rule. أو عن فضيلة سجود قبلي. Is that the same nas that you have in your text?
You're not.
أو زاد بالعمد لركن فعلي أو عن فضيلة. Read it. أو عن فضيلة sujudan qabli. So if he makes a sujud qabli, listen to this part. He makes sujud qabli for missing a fadila, his salat is gone. Did you just hear that? For people who think
if he makes a sujud, please, what do you say?
Aha. If you miss a sujood for something that is fadila, not up to a sunnah, and you make sujood al-qabli for that, you have nullified your salah.
Even if it is unintentional.
What do you mean by unintentional? You missed.
Meaning
Which one is unintentional? Is it missing the fadila that is unintentional?
Let's say you missed something.
Uh-huh.
And you did qabli. You missed something. And you did qabli when the thing is not a sunnah, for example.
Uh-huh. So this is the point. Exactly.
Prayer.
That's why I said that's something. There's not miss something. There's not something in salah. Everything in salah is either a fard or a sunnah or a fadila. That's something. It has no place in fiqh. You get my logic? Oh, I wish you get that logic. That is why you have to know this part of salah that I missed. Is it fardu? Is it sunnah? Is it fadila? Some people think in their minds, oh, once I just miss anything in salah, I just do qabli. Wallahi, it is not like that. You get the point? This is the point. That is the point. That's why I say you should pay attention. And there's qabli is where you miss something in salah. Qabli is not when you miss something in salah. It's when you miss 3 sunnah. Because when you miss 1 sunnah, it is not enough to make qabli. For example, in Salatul Maghrib, after reading غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ in the first surah, you read Surah Al-Duha, but you read it silently. You read it, but you read it silently. You have just missed 1 sunnah. You are not required to make sajdatul qabli. Some people do not even know this, because that's why we said ترك صلاة قبل إن طال زمن وكان عن نقص ثلاث, from 3 sunnah upward. So it is wrong to assume that once you miss anything in salah, you are what? You have to make.
You are going to do qabli.
You have just going to do qabli. You are looking for the fast method, not just anything. It is not anything, my dear brother. It's not anything. And if you go make a mistake of what? Of making sujood al-qabli for something that is fadila in salah, that your salat is a goner. You have, with your own hand, nullified your salah. My dear brothers and sisters, look at how many people have committed this. And just like I said, ignorance is not a reason. The ulama say, وَلَوْ كَثُرَتْ, even if it's more than 1 fadila. For example, some people do not know that Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Ala wa bihamdihi is not sunnah, it is fadila. And because they start listening to people who are not fuqaha in terms of fiqh, for example, someone attended a halqa, I'm giving you a great example, and he heard in that halqa that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to what? Used to make Subhana Rabbi al-Azim in salah. And in his own mind, he thinks that is sunnah. You get it? Just because it was reported that the Prophet did it. And this is where we have problem with people who don't understand fiqh. Permit me to just check something for a minute. I saw something now. You get it? Do you remember that when we started Babul Wudu, we said we defined sunnah? Do you remember? Yes, sir. You remember?
Part of it, please.
Sorry?
I said part of it, part of it.
Tamam. So go and revise that part. What is sunnah? Sunnah in fiqh does not mean that is whatever the Prophet did. If everything the Prophet did was sunnah, then in fiqh perspective, some things the Prophet did were what? Were wajib. You understand me? If someone tells me now that the Prophet, whenever he starts the salah, yabda'u bil Fatiha, he used to recite Fatiha, and he says, then because of that, Surah Fatiha is sunnah. I know all of you will disagree with me, right? Do you get the logic I'm making?
Yes.
So the language of fiqh is different. Just because the Prophet did it does not make it sunnah in fiqh perspective. And this is where when you are listening to lecture, you need to understand the person you are listening to. Is it a faqih or a muhaddith? Don't confuse yourself. Some things the Prophet did, they are haram for you to do. Some things the Prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they are wajib, you must do them. Some things that the Prophet did, they are sunnah, you should do them. There's the things that the Prophet did, they are makruh, you shouldn't do them. There are things that the Prophet did, they are fada'il. You have an option. If you like, you do them. If you like, you don't do them. Some people, one of the problems we have today is that some people, they will place fada'il in the position of sunnah. If we say this, I don't want to cause fitna. Some of the sunnah, that things that people say, sunnah, have you not done that? This is not sunnah, it is fadila. Are we saying that because of that you should not do it? No, you should do it. Upscale your iman, but don't go and tell someone who is not doing it, why are you not doing it? If you are asking someone, why are you not doing it? You are ignorant. And your ignorance is complex. Because it's not only that you don't know the rule, the other thing is you don't know your limit. Rahimallahu mru'an arafa qadra nafsih. Know your limits in the deen. If you don't know, if you know your level, oh, I want to do this, keep it to yourself. Don't take it to other people, so that you don't cause more harm in your community. Understood? So, وَمَنْ سَجَدَ قَبْلِيًّا لِنَقْصِ فَضِيلَةٍ أَوْ أَكْثَرَ فَقَدْ بَطَلَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. If you make sujood for a fadila that you missed in salah, even if it is more than one fadila, for example, if in every ruku that you did, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, you missed it in every ruku, you say, all this number of Subhana Rabbi al-Azim that I missed, and because of that, you went ahead and make sujood al-qabli, batalat salatuha. Your salah is null and void. You have to observe that salah again. I'll add to it. The ulama say, Sujud al-Qabli, let me write this. لِفَضِيلَةٍ فَيْفَضِيلَ وَإِنْ كَثُرَتْ. Even if there are many. That is one point. It will lead you to what? Nullifying your salah. عَمْدًا أَوْ جَهْلًا. If he did that intentionally or ignorantly, you see now, amdan, intentionally, or out of ignorance, not knowing is not an excuse. If he did the sujood like you asked, out of forgetfulness, فَلَا بُطْلَانَ, he has not nullified his salah. So what would he do? He did a mistake. Oh, I forgot. It's different from I don't know. I forgot, and he made a sujood of qabli for missing a fadila, knowing that is a fadila. In that sense, it will be regarded that he has added that extra sujood al-qabli. So he will make a ba'di for that sujood al-qabli. Fahim tumuni? I'm asking for response so that it doesn't look like I'm rushing. So
No.
please give me,
No.
if you take that point home, then we'll go to the next one. Understood?
No, I don't.
No.
Someone knows very well that saying Sami Allahu liman hamida in salat, saying Subhana Rabbi Azim in ruku, or Subhana Rabbi al-ala in sujud is a fadila. He now forgot, and he knows that he should not make sujud for it. Maybe that happened in the first rak'ah. Then, when he wanted to do tashahud, he just remembered, oh, I've missed something in salah. Forgetfully, he didn't remember that what he missed was a fadila. He knew it was a fadila, but he forgot. And because of that, he made sujud al-qabli. Before saying the salam, he went to make two sujud and stood up to make tashahud again and said assalamu alaikum. Then after saying the taslim, he remembered, that sujud that I made, I'm not supposed to make it because what I missed is a fadila. I said he remembered. I didn't say he now went to ask an imam and he learned. If as at the time that he did that, he did it out of ignorance, his salat is invalid. If he did that out of forgetfulness, what will he do? It will, in that case, it will be regarded that sujudul qabli that he added was what? Was addition to salah by mistake.
No.
Then he will have, it becomes ziyada. Then he will make sujudul ba'di for that sujudul qabli that he made. So what will happen? In the last rakah, he will have prostrated 6 times. And his salah will be okay. Kabirullah. Fiqh is very interesting. That's why it's called fiqh, the understanding of your deen. Listen to me. In case that someone sajada li sunnatin khafifatin katakbiratin wahidatin aw tasmi'atin, if someone goes to make sujud for sunnatin khafifa, a very light sunnah, katakbiratin, like forgetting just one takbir, or forgetting Sami Allahu liman hamida, batalat salatuhu, his salah is invalid. Add that. Aw sunnatin khafifa. Sunnatun khafifa. A light sunnah. Like that. That is not like emphatic sunnah. That a light sunnah here means what? Non-emphatic sunnah. One. Just one. Say one. One. Non-emphatic sunnah. He what? What would he do? Yes, Ada. His salah is invalid. أو سنة أو نقص سنة مؤكدة خارجة عن الصلاة. Or he missed a sunnah that is emphatic sunnah, heavy sunnah, but that sunnah is outside of salah. What sunnah is outside of salah? And it's emphatic. Ka iqamatin. Iqama is sunnah mu'akkada. But it is outside of the salah because the real salah starts with the takbiratul ihram. Someone now missed iqama. He entered into salah, he just said, Allahu Akbar. And he remembered at the end of the salah, oh, I didn't do iqama. He now makes the sujood sahw qabli for that salah. Especially when he is praying alone, he has nullified his salah. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Tamam. Because that sunnah mu'akkada is what? Is kharij as-salah. Is outside of salah. If he there's another condition there that I want to bring to attention, sorry. If he was following an imam makes that sujood for it, then he has to follow the imam. You get it? Even though it is the imam was wrong, right?
No.
He will not, we said that he will have to make the sujood with the imam if he was part of that issue. But let's leave that on the side. But basically, it's just understanding the other part of it. Time. أو ركنا أو شرطا بعمد قد ترك. 14. If he deliberately leaves a rukn or shart, a condition of salah, he leaves it deliberately, then it's salat. This is not forgetfulness. Deliberately, you didn't make the ruku, or deliberately, you didn't make a rak'ah, something like that. Then his salah will be invalid. أو ركنا أو شرطا. ركنا ترك ركنا. He left a pillar of salah عمدا, intentionally. Let's look at ركنا intentional. ترك ركنا عمدا intentionally يترتب عليه بطلان الصلاة. Or let's add this all these ones in red, they are extras that we need to pay attention. If he forgot a pillar of salah for a long time. You get the point? For a long time. Like he could not make up for it again. أو ترك ركن عمدا وترك شرطا عمدا. Missing a prerequisite of salah intentionally. For example, prerequisite of salah intentionally. Someone faced opposite of the Qibla for salah, and he has completed that salah. He went out, and the time of salah is gone. Then he will have to make up for that salah again.
So even if it is intentional, that
We said if he forgot. Whether intentionally or he forgot. Anyway. If you forgot for a long time, if it's intentional, it doesn't have to be a long time. If you miss it on purpose, you deliberately face the opposite of the Qibla. Aslan, la salah. But if you forgot for a long time, high salah to the... Go ahead.
Okay, if you forgot and you remembered just after I finished the prayer.
If you said the salam, what happens? You have to make back the salah, right?
No, yeah.
You get it. Someone, let me give that example. Someone entered the masjid. He was praying off of the Qibla. And someone, maybe the Imam entered, maybe he was trying and said, this is not the Qibla. And he just turned to the Qibla. He continues his salah, right? Yeah, that salah is still valid. You get the point. But yeah, if he has said salam, he has already ended the salah. There are other conditions that I don't want to dwell well on them, and I think we've discussed them before. It is the person being forced? Does the person have the capacity? For example, now someone who is sick now cannot face the Qibla, and there's no one who can turn him to face the Qibla. You know, that is a different case. So all of this, we are saying he cannot do this, meaning he has the capacity to do it, but he's not able to do it. For example, now someone who was traveling and was attacked by highway robbers and they stripped him off his clothes. Praying covering your aura is what? It's compulsory. It's a shart of salah. You must not pray. But if the person does not have a cloth and it's time for salah, you have to see, even if it's just leaves or a rag that is just able to tie around just his private area, he will have to make salah like that, you know. And that's why I'm saying all these conditions and normal conditions apply that we have to know. Because of time, I want to pause here. نكتفي بهذا القدر إن شاء الله حتى نلتقي في الحلقة القادمة إن شاء الله. نسأل الله تعالى أن يبارك فينا وفيكم ويفتح علينا فتوى العارفين ويعلمنا ما لم نعلم إنه على ما يشاء قدير وبالإجابة جدير ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. Any question? I want to take the last 2 minutes or something if there are questions. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
The Qabli itself, this is like after before we say Taslim, we make sujood and do tashahud and go.
Yeah, exactly. That's Qabli.
Okay.
Okay, so Stars, you mentioned in this class before the last time I had that, for example, if the Imam makes a mistake and then you come and join the prayer, you do the sahwi with the Imam. Is that correct?
Which of the sujood?
You said, for example, it was badi.
I never said you do ba'di with the Imam, because ba'di is done after taslim. I only said you will sit and wait for the Imam to do his ba'di. You get it? If it is qabli, you do it with the Imam.
Well, if it is ba'di,
because for qabli, the Imam will have done the qabli before saying the salam, right? So you can't even make up for what you miss without the Imam saying taslim. So aslan. Good. But for ba'di, the Imam will have said salam, then he will say Allahu Akbar. In that instance, the best thing for you is for you to remain seated while the Imam does his ba'di. Then when he's done and he says the final taslim, you stand up without joining him in that ba'di. When you complete your own salah, you make your own ba'di. Is it clear now?
yes.
Tamam.
Okay.
وإياكم. جزاكم الله خيرا ونفعنا الله وشكركم الله. Thank you for coming around. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.